Hello, we're going to look at LangChain Expression Language. If you've been away on holiday, you'll have come back to find this is a new thing. So what I'm going to do is just quickly show some code which demonstrates it. I always prefer to actually try and do my own example rather than just replicate the ones which LangChain provide, because until you try and do your own, you don't actually find out what you don't know. From LangChain, we got prompts, chat, utilities, prompts, schema, output, parser, and so on. We create a template, write some Python code to solve the user's problem, return only Python code in Markdown format. So we're actually telling the model to create some Python code and then actually use the Python code. We've also got template, model, template, prompt. So the prompt is a chat prompt template. And the messages, it's a list of messages. So one is the system message and the other is the human message prompt. So the human message prompt is the input, and the input is down here on line 38, which is what are the monthly payments on a 100,000. I was going to put in pounds, but I just thought, well, if you use dollars or other currencies, then you don't really need to see pounds, and you can use this for whatever currency yours is. So the additional thing we've got now is the pipe. So chain equals prompt. So the prompt is up here on line 22. So we pass the prompt, we pipe it to the model. So if you're not familiar with Unix or Linux, basically a pipe sends the first thing as the output of the first thing to the input of the second thing. So the prompt goes to the model, which is chat OpenAI. The StrOutputParser is what's actually formatting it, and then we are sending it through sanitize output, which is a function on line 30, and basically it's stripping off the backticks. We had to pass the backticks, or wrap the template with the backticks, just to kind of provide it more nicely to the language model. So when we run this, you can see I've run it already, but let's run it again just for the sake of the video. And I can't remember if I've turned on verbose or not. I don't think I did. The charges were starting to mount up, and obviously, there we go. So on a £100,000 mortgage, repayment mortgage at 7.8%. So in the UK, interest rates are going higher and higher because the Bank of England keep printing money in conjunction with the government, debasing the currency, but that's another story. So over 25 years, 75861. So let's just check that and go to remortgage.com, examples, £100,000 over 25 years, 7.8%, 75861. So it's got the maths correct, which is good because we know language models don't always get the maths correct. So that's part one. What I'm actually going to do now is take, effectively that should be called output, but it's not, because I'm going to send the answer from this as the input to the next function. So let me uncomment all of this. So if you've not used PALChain yet, you might notice when you come to use it, it's been kind of superseded by PALChain. If you haven't got access to PALChain, you need to do pip install LangChain _experimental. Let's clear this. Pip install. I think it's LangChain _experimental. Yeah, and obviously it's saying it's already satisfied because I've already installed it, but that's what you'll need. We'll check that out in a second because I think it's worth having a look at. Just because it's experimental doesn't mean it's not good. So what we've got is the So PAL stands for Program Aided Language Chain. I didn't actually need to import OpenAI again, but there we go. We're just setting the language model, and we're actually saying specifying maximum tokens. Verbose equals true. These are actually the defaults, but here's the question. So if you earn, what I did was I took £40,000 or dollars, whatever. I removed the tax element. So if you earn £40,000 in the UK, the government takes a nice slice of it, and you're left with £27,000. So that's what you're actually left with after they've had their share. What percentage of your monthly income is spent on the mortgage each month based on a mortgage payment of, and then that's what we're using their input, so that'll be the £758. So let's run it. So input here is actually the output from the first function, so let's just clear it again. So this time it should get 758,768. Pass it into the next function, and that will tell us what percentage of our monthly income is spent on the mortgage. And you can see the 758 wasn't done with the math chain, it was actually done with the PythonREPL, which the model actually wrote for itself. I've turned verbose on here, so this is the second part. So this bit here that you see here is the PALChain. So again, you can see it's created this program aided language chain. So you can see again, it's written a Python function which you could actually create yourself, or you could copy that function and just use it anyway. But 33% of your income is spent on your mortgage. So what else we could do is we could plot this. Let's just do a pie chart before we wrap this up. So let's just say, so the mortgage of 33%, so the remainder will actually be 100 minus mortgage minus the council tax. So that should be 100 minus 33% minus 10%. So that's 43%. So that should actually give us 57%. Now the clever thing here is that the language model can actually convert the integer or the float. It can convert it to a string and back from a string. So if I run this, we should find it works without actually giving us what you would find with Python, where it would, can't convert string to int and vice versa. Yeah, sorry, we're going to have to just see it do the 2 bits that it's done already, and then it should make a pie chart for us. The other thing you can do, which you can do with Jupyter Notebook, is you can get the graph of what the code has done. You can get that output to an SVG file. It won't do it here because it needs IPython. IPython, you have to do an import from ipython.display import SVG. But I get an error when I try and run it just from my IDE. The only problem is when you turn off verbose, although it saves you some tokens, you don't know if the code is actually running. So if this doesn't stop within a few seconds, or give me an answer within a few seconds, then I may have to cancel it and pause the video, which I am going to do right now. Okay, so I realised I actually do need to convert the mortgage to an integer, because when I use it with matplotlib, it needs to be an integer. So just running it again. So it'll do the first part, which will be where it calculates the monthly mortgage payments. It'll do the second part where it calculates the percentage. And then it will do the third part, which will be make us a pie chart. There we go. So you've got the mortgage, which is 33%, council tax 10%, and then you've got the remainder. So yeah, there we go. Using expressions. So let's just go back. You've got, oh, the other thing I was just going to quickly mention was the LLM bash chain. Potentially very dangerous. You could delete lots of files, do all sorts of damage, but it's available. One thing you could do is, I was just experimenting with getting it to use eSpeak. So you could get it to speak the result to you. I guess there's potential uses there for kind of accessibility, blind people and so on. So yeah, there's my usage, and it's today because I've been, it's verbose has been turned on. You can see the charges have crept up. Yeah, so using the pipes, that's all part of the new expression language. And yeah, there we go. So experiment and try and do your own examples rather than just watching videos where people use the standard examples. So I've seen so many examples with OpenAI functions where people are just basically getting the weather, which is fine, but yeah, you're not really learning anything if you just copy the default examples. As soon as you go kind of try and do your own stuff, that's when it starts getting difficult and you run into problems, and then you actually have to learn the things. You have to learn the things from kind of the ground up. So yeah, LangChain Experimental, definitely recommend having a look at LangChain Experimental. So you've got PALChain, SQL database chain, load prompt for Python files. This is where you can load Python files as prompts, which I've not tried, but yeah, it's all out there. So thanks for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. Thanks. Don't forget to subscribe, like, thumbs up, and all comment and all that stuff. Thanks.